All right, I think we're live. What up, everyone? My name is Wilcer. Welcome to the Full Time Side Hustle podcast. Here's my special guest, Tony Delivers. How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing good. How you doing today, Will, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. I have a challenge today, March this month, March Madness. But I got a bunch of goodies in the mail yesterday, and I'm like, you know what? Let me take today off and install everything. And I got wheels, I got all these electronics, all these gadgets, and I'm just excited to install them. That's why I took a day off. And because we were gonna do this podcast today, which I've been excited. I saw you. Someone posted you on my Crank Costa group, and they mentioned how you got kind of headlines recently because you're doing this new thing, right? Where well, I don't know how long have you been doing this thing where you basically started working on your own outside of the apps. You said, you know what, basically I'm not going to work with them, or maybe you are, but you just started charging a flat fee to do deliveries local. Tell me a little bit, like, how's that work?
Yeah, so I started in Seattle. They have this thing called the Ordinance, um, where they added like a $5 fee or whatever, and so by virtue of that, I was like, okay, like me and my friends, we like got together and we're like, oh, what if we did this, and or what if you did this, and then so I opened up February 3rd or 4th, and then um, we added the website, added the design of the posters. We've added a ton of different things, and yeah, it's been pretty interesting. I've kind of, I guess I'm pretty much learning kind of the challenges and the nuances of people's eating habits and some of the you know decisions that they make on that. So it's been interesting.
It is interesting because you when you do start a business around food, I've tried before. I tried doing a catering thing, like a meal prep thing. And one thing you definitely need to learn is human behavior and their patterns with food. And some people, while they like when they try to make some a meal plan for somebody, the thing is that we're by naturally we always crave different things, and with meal prepping it's like the same thing kind of, or you try to mix it up a little bit, but after a while people stop doing the meal prepping. It gets frustrating, but that's something that I had to learn. So with eating habits, like that's kind of the same thing, right? Sometimes you get people that want to do late night munches. Sometimes you got people want to do early breakfast, coffees, lunch, dinners, or breakfast for lunch, or dinner for breakfast. It's kind of a mix, and you have to learn those things in order to kind of adjust your schedule, right? Because these apps, it's kind of like, okay, turn the apps on and let's go work anytime, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. But what you're doing is it you and a couple friends, or is just kind of more yourself? How does that work?
I'm out there delivering kind of the also the spokesman for my own brand, but um, in terms of like I got a couple buddies that are they're my friends. They're not like we're not like a team of people. We're not. They're just my friends that are kind of helping. But I think that kind of the very difference the difference between me and hold on a second here. I'm sorry.
It's all good. I get it's kind of like public speaking, huh? You're kind of put on the spot, and then you had all these things you wanted to say, and then once you're on the spot, it's like,
Well, it's
what?
more so there's someone rolling a bin by. um,
There's a Okay. There's that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
kind of like I hear a little sound in the back. Is that what that is?
yeah, yeah, it's in the background. But what I was saying is I think what I have learned over the course of this time is that because I get text messages from New York City, LA. I've gotten text messages from Texas, Florida, South Carolina, Toronto, London, Australia. I've gotten messages from everywhere, and I think kind of the interesting thing that I've encountered um, is a lot of people they want to try, but they haven't been able to find the courage to kind of step into that uncomfortable zone of what they're doing. And they probably have noticed some patterns where they're like, I wish I could do this. Like, for instance, if
Mm.
if you delivered in downtown Los Angeles before, um, you kind of understand, like, well, there's a ton of buildings, and like if you deliver to, you know 1201 Figueroa, like they got like security on both sides. It's like you got to go upstairs. It's like it's hard. It's
Mm,
challenging. Like it never seems to work. And kind of the question that I have is just like what I am kind of having, the people that I've delivered to, I'm having them come outside. I'm having them meet me. Um, just on the simple premise that this is a peer-to-peer transaction. It's not the
right.
same as like the you know and same as the other things. And I think that my best skill is kind of connecting, kind of reaching people on a personal level. And so in this sector of the market, I'm focusing on you know kind of adding that care factor to it. But in terms of, there's other things that other people can offer to the market that I think is interesting, right? Like maybe you can do a backflip and deliver pizza. Like that would be interesting, right? That's a
Mhm.
form of it. Um,
So you're kind of like trying to personalize it a bit more, or maybe be more connected with your customer. Because with the apps, it's almost like ever since the pandemic, they started this whole thing with leave at door. Remember before the pandemic, like leave at door was like almost like you almost we're gonna get a bad rating because it's like why would you leave my food on the floor, right? And
right.
after the pandemic, it became kind of more normalized. So now actually everyone chooses to just leave at door. So then we kind of got disconnected more and more from the customer, which I have a theory of why that kind of connects with lower tips. There's not that person to person, that interaction anymore. It's just more like food just pops up at your door. And this kind of creates like what you're doing is you're connecting directly with your customers. You have that interaction with them, and it pretty much connects you with all your customers. That's something I don't think is existent anymore with these apps.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't exist currently, but I think there is kind of this interesting, as people continue to kind of get into this more, I think that there is kind of this interesting thing that could be emerging of, being able to offer something outside of, um, you know, that. And I think that, maybe, my role here is to help spearhead that kind of idea and give people, that are inside that love to bike around or love being outside or, love talking to people, whatever their skill set that they enjoy, to give them an ability to do that. But I'm not going to sit here and say this has been easy. There are logistical challenges. Um,
Mhm.
if I get 10 orders in a minute, it's a hard logistical problem, to
Right.
solve.
Yeah,
Um,
because it's food, right? So like the one thing about food and the reason why there's an urgency to deliver food is because food I learned this with meal prepping as well. Food needs to stay in temperature. It needs to stay hot or cold or whatever it is, because if it stays out for so long, then it starts to, it could start growing bacteria, and then after a certain it takes long time, like 3 hours, but it could it become basically like it could become what's to say, it could become food poisoning if it's kind of like out, like, right. So there's that little urgency with time. So managing a big amount of customers on your own, that's one of the logistics, that's one of the challenges, right. I wanted to ask you something though real quick. How long have you been doing like Uber Eats? How many apps do you use, and how long have you been doing that?
so I started doing Uber after I graduated college in 2019,
Okay.
towards so 2020. So I don't have any recollection of previous, like, way before what it was. And then
So
I,
you
I
got
did.
in right in the pandemic, huh? Right in the
Yeah.
pandemic, you started doing this. Ooh, what an
Exactly. Yeah.
interesting time. What an interesting time to get in. All right.
Um, and so my kind of thoughts about it are, maybe a little bit different. I've also seek counsel on, people that have had the experience of what it was before and what their experience was then. Kind of trying to understand what the experience for people are, and I really also want to move away from like the idea of like customer, which is why if you looked at my website, it's like it's the homie delivering your food. Your
Okay,
homie.
right.
Yeah, because I think when you have the idea of a customer, there's like there's this level of expectation that you're going to meet all their needs. This is an imperfect science. There are times where I'm booked and busy and am logistically running all the directions and all these other things in my head. Once it gets to that point where I can no longer do that, then we'll ask that question. But I think that it's that's kind of the other thing that I want would I want people to understand is it's like it's not like I'm out here, you know, on time every time. It's an imperfect thing. Someone, comes their elevator's slow, I can't get my bike lock off my bike fast enough. It's raining, my gloves are wet. Maybe I even went to the wrong building. That's happened to me already. So it's like the thing is like, and I think the difference between when you're working for a company versus yourself, is that there is some of that leeway for understanding, which is important to trying to build that base of understanding from the people. Because they understand, they know that you're working as hard as you can, as opposed to you know what it might not necessarily feel like. I know that before it was easy, but I'm running through I'm running through halls, I'm running to the restaurant, I'm moving as quickly as I can. Like, it's not, I'm trying to save as much time and gain as much time as possible, so that way I can deliver that connective experience where I can talk to you for a minute or two, ask you how your day was. This woman, she was pretty sad, was almost crying, just allowed her to do her thing, which was, and my thought process is like, oh, what a great opportunity to, just, relate to someone, as opposed to, it's not even about, at that point, it's not even about the money. But for some people it is, which is fine. And I understand that. And, I'm looking to somehow make an impact so that way they can then also have a better experience there too.
That's interesting that you say that because one thing I was working jobs. I was tried different jobs, sales jobs, customer service jobs. Like I've done a few of them. They were cool. My first job was a sales job. The customer service, not so much. I like to have incentives. I like to, the more I work, the more I get paid. That's kind of the way my mind works. And when I started doing this gig stuff, the delivery apps, I did love it. I love the independence. I love how I can just go whenever. I love how I can hustle real hard and make a lot of money. But one thing I did lose, that I think a lot of us do, where with independent contract work, is we do lose connection, or that connection with people. And one thing I miss about work, or at least W-2, is having a team, having coworkers, having lunch with them, being able to connect with them, being able to just hang out with them, and even customers, my clients. I have a lot of face to face, and I'll have a small conversation with them. With this food delivery stuff, especially after the pandemic, because during the pandemic, it was just like nobody talked to each other, don't get near each other, because that's like the worst thing you could do. You're gonna kill everybody. It was like a weird thing, right? Everybody was scared of it. It was new, nobody didn't know much. So after that, that's when that cultural thing happened. Leave at door, and now it just feels like I don't see any customers at all. I feel like they're all looking at me through the peephole when I'm delivering at their door, and they're just like, I can't wait till this guy to leave so I can just snatch that bag and go in there and start grabbing everything. They'll wait for you to go around the corner, or if their door's right in front of the elevator, they'll probably wait for you to go down, because they're there. They're staring. That feeling you get when someone's looking at you. So with what you're doing, it's interesting because you have to connect with them. There's no computer, there's no art, there's no automation, it's literally them texting you, or them sending you a request, they send you the info. So there's going to be a communication almost every time, right? Like, hey, I'm here. So it becomes a little more personal, and like you said, you were able to kind of talk to one of your homies that was sad. You were able to kind of just have a conversation with them, which that's dope. Sometimes you need that, and we've been more disconnected than ever, I think. So I think it's a great thing when it comes to that. You'll be able to connect with your customers. I wish I was able to connect a little bit more with my customers here in downtown LA, but it's so fast paced. Like I never even get the time. It's just like I don't always just have one delivery, but I think that's cool. I was gonna ask you, how long have you been doing the apps for? And then how long has it been since you started doing Tony delivers? How long have you started doing like your own deliveries?
So I started my first delivery on the apps in December of 2019, and
And how many
then
deliveries do you have on that app? Like how many have you done on the
oh,
apps?
on uh on the app that must not be named,
Okay, okay,
for legal purposes.
okay,
Uh,
okay,
uh,
gotcha.
the the app, I have 9,000 on one app, and then almost about 1,000 on another app.
Okay,
So
so you have about 10,000 deliveries that you've done.
yeah.
Um, and then when you started doing Tony delivers, how many runs have you done approximately? You should keep track, right? Keep track. That's
I actually began the backlog. I will say that I have delivered to, I don't know how many exact deliveries, but at least, um, I was tracking recently, at least 400 to 500 people minimum.
okay.
So it's probably a lot more. I just need to continue going through my phone. It's taken a lot of time. I've spent a lot of time doing interviews, which I didn't
Okay.
even have, I didn't even have time to like. There was a point in time where I wasn't eating. There wasn't time, which is
Whoa.
which is crazy to think. Like, you ever hear those like motivational, like Beyonce, she didn't go without for food for 3 days, and you're like, wait, that's real. It's like a real thing. Like even if I wanted to eat, I couldn't.
Yeah, it's I've been through that. It's hyper focus. Is when you like I've done that twice. One when I was doing a painting. I got so wrapped up in it and it took me 2 days. I'm talking about 2 full days, like from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep, woke up and worked on it again. And by the time I was like somewhat satisfied with it, I realized I haven't ate anything. Like I'm hungry. Like what's going on? Like that's like it happens. Is that where you just like your mind is just like on this one thing, either through work or you're just super focused. And that's wow. That lets me know how busy you've been with this. And is it because of the? Because I see articles here and there like, hey, like because food delivery has become a thing. The pandemic kind of put the food delivery in everyone's faces because it was literally the only way you can get food.
Mm.
And everyone and everyone's grandma has the app in their phone now, right?
Oh yeah,
Or
everybody's driven.
everyone's familiar with the way it works. Before it was like more of a, even in restaurants they'll put us to the side. They wouldn't even really like, we were like the bottom of their priority list. But now it's like it's changed the dynamic a bit. Um, but yeah, anyway, so what's one big problem that you have right now with because I know you said there's logistics, right? So I mean, I imagine if you get 10 deliveries at one time, like how do you deal with that? Or
What's crazy?
have you gotten?
It's not even at one time. It's like within seconds.
Damn. So
So
like
like
it's like the whole,
imagine how like, so before you'll wait at a restaurant, and you'll know that there's gonna be another delivery, so you just wait there for like 30 seconds or whatever, and then you get another,
right.
a double or a triple. Literally what will end up happening is like, so it will be, so it's kind of like the bell curve. So it will start out really slow and then just shoot way up.
Yeah.
And sometimes those peaks are higher and lower, but pretty much I just give people, I'm like trying to give them, I'm also like, I have this like kind of like the insider knowledge of like, my like knowing Seattle, knowing the foot traffic, knowing what's going on. Nicki Minaj was here Sunday, Bad Bunny was here Saturday, like knowing what's going on inside the city. So, and then also like one of my buddies, he sent me like a foot traffic app. So like if it ever gets like too busy, I can just look at that and like, kind of run things. But usually I just give people wait times and say like, hey, like I can do it this time, I can do it this time, and like try to make the logistics work as much as I can. Also understanding the person that is ordering. If they have less leeway, if they have more leeway, if they're busy, I'm asking questions. But I do think in a couple weeks here, I won't have enough capacity mentally to do it just by myself, which is kind of an interesting, what do I do next? Which is what me and my friends have been kind of working on, thinking about. And I've taken tons of interviews. I've taken mock-ups for automation. I've taken mocks up for an app or something. I've listened to
Mm.
probably hundreds of people pitch their thought process on this, and we'll see. Obviously, I don't want to build the big bad app. That's not what that. I have no interest in that. I
Yeah,
want to
because
go.
if you try to do that, I know that because these at this point these companies are mammoths. They bought off the smaller ones, the ones that were technically pretty big. Those things got bought off. They swallowed up. I mean, I don't want to throw names out there, but yeah, it's becoming right now. There's only two huge ones. So I get people tell me on my channel sometimes as well. Hey, why don't you start your own app? And then to me, I'm just like, bro, I am not trying to spend the next decade to try to build something that's probably going to be obsolete by the time I'm done or anywhere near close to. And then plus the deep wallets that these companies have. I mean, these are billion-dollar corporations. So it just becomes like, well, no, yeah, I'm not going to go. I'll rather, like in your situation, the strength in what you're doing is in a sense you will end up building a community of people who want to opt out of the apps and the fees and the poor service. They probably want a more peer-to-peer interaction, and I think that can stay small. If anything, once you start getting too big, then you're going to have the same problems again. You're going to have the bad service, the just the things that come out when there's in large numbers. But if you have a small team outside of just yourself, maybe like a couple other, or maybe just your friends, that'll be pretty sick because you only concentrated in a small area, right? It's
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so I think I texted you. I was like, oh, I have downtown Los Angeles solved, right? So
yeah.
I have.
What was that about? Like I was interested. I was like, what does he mean by that?
So like for instance, like like who's coming to downtown LA? Like what are they doing? Like why are they there? So it's usually like the hotels, and then you have everything that's kind of like centered around like those four apartment buildings, that one on 12th and Fig. Um,
Circa.
what's Yeah, Circa, which is like two-sided. Probably a ton of celebrities live there. Um,
Um,
but I
yeah,
mean,
it's
I think kind of the thought process is like, you know, when you're trying to do things that don't scale, which is essentially, the Stanley Tang, the founder of DoorDash. The idea of doing things that don't scale is not necessarily about taking on the big bag companies. I think it's or the big companies. Like I think it's more of just like this idea of like, okay, like how can I take some of how can I build like a little niche localized part of this, and then what's the next step of maybe getting others to opt into that idea of like, okay, like we're going to be a part of this too. Because the other thing is like what ends up happening is you'll hear this a lot, I'm sure. It's oversaturated, right? There's too many drivers, there's too much of something. And essentially what you're saying is like you're saying like, oh, like I see a ton of people that are doing this, that are just sitting around, that aren't in movement, that don't enjoy it, that seem to be, like we're making slightly less money, like every month it goes from like maybe started at 35, now it's 34, then now it's at 23, then it's 22. So like my thought process is like, okay, you do enjoy kind of being by yourself. You do enjoy being outside. You do enjoy riding a bike. You do enjoy meeting people and talking to people and talking to the concierge. So here's my thought process is it's like I'm saying like, okay, like do is there an ability there's a whole bunch of people that want to do this, but the biggest fear of them doing it is two things. One is failure. The second thing that I think is the hardest thing to do is whether or not they'll get anybody to use their service, right? No one wants to sit there and wait around and hope and pray that they're going to get someone to use Wilcer delivers. That's just the way it is. You don't want to take that risk because that's earned bread. And so it's my responsibility, if I'm trying to, continue this idea of like, what can you offer? How can I vet you? How can I make this a better experience for all the sides, for the restaurants, for the people that are ordering, for the people that are delivering? How can I make this a better experience? And I think the answer is very simply, I have to do a ton of work, which is, I'm not afraid of the work. I have to do a ton of the leg work to then get it rolling, so that way people are ready and receptive to the next idea of the concept, which is the guy. That's what this is. This is really, which is why it's kind of interesting that I am the person doing this, is because I'm very idealistic. I'm a concept person. I like, this
Mhm.
is in theory. So bringing this to life in theory has a lot of value to people, because they've always wanted this, but they never could get it the way that they want it. And so you get it, and obviously, people will say, well, we've had this before. You really haven't, though. You really haven't had this. You haven't had a person that you saw on the internet that you could text on a random basis, that you could send stickers to, that you could talk to, that you can rely on, that understands, you're like, you might be in between, whether you want Korean food or you want Chinese. Like, you've never had that experience, and especially being personalized. So my goal is like, all right, like, I understand that there are some people that, they just do this for bread, but then there's also this other people that feel like they can do more, that want to do more, that like to do more, that like people, that like, kind of adding their own twist to it. And my whole goal here is to either a, build the thing that is, more community based, and also then, be able to let you be expressive. How can I help Wilcer be more expressive in his deliveries? Is it branding? Is it identity? Is it like giving him options? Is it neighborhood? Like, who does he? Is it, what is it? What are the questions that I can ask that can let Wilcer be more identifiable to then do something? And then, the question is like, we have a whole bunch of tools that can be used to speed up those logistical things. We don't need them now because it's just me, but we have tools in the tool bank that can be used. We have ideas that can be, utilized. I just mentioned the foot traffic thing. That's one thing that could be utilized already, just within the last couple of weeks there. So we have ideas that we can put onto the table to then solve the problem of there, because there's three essential problems. There's pay, there's demand, right? So demand is not as elastic as people think, and then there's this idea of expression, this idea of what do you bring to the market. And my market that I believe in is empathy. I believe in empathy economy. I believe in giving people, care, and, listening to them and being connective. Maybe that's not your market. That's fine. Maybe your market is you're fast and convenient, and you can get something from downtown Los Angeles Chipotle all the way to Baldwin Hills in 11 minutes, because and that will cost $10 because you're that fast. Like, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, we can have that on the marketplace, and kind of create an interesting solution to that. So
That makes sense. I know when you were mentioning where it depends, it will depend a lot on the market. Because if there's anything I know about LA, is it is fast paced. People are more like, I need this now. I need to get somewhere now. It's more like an instant gratification. Amazon Prime all day. Food. I need this thing here immediately. Press of a button. But I know that if you do go to different markets where it's maybe not a big city, more spread out, but not even that, because there's certain cities where it's not fast paced. Like when I went to Hawaii, I visited there for a few months. I went there for like 2 weeks. I noticed that everybody just slowed down. No one was in a rush. No one was like, there was. I didn't hear no one honk at each other. Like everyone just kind of just sitting somewhere, hanging out somewhere, and they're really there for hours. So there's no really that sense of urgency. And I think what you're doing will thrive in places like that, because you will build that community. And it's more like, hey, I'm craving this. I want to get this. Let me hit up my boy Tony, and then you kind of just forget about it, and then you pull up an hour later and it's like perfect, you know? Like it's not like I need this in 10 minutes, you know? It's like this is like that's the market that I'm used to. Like it's like you order now and then I'll be there like in literally 10 minutes. So it's like I feel like what you're doing could survive in that type of market because I'm thinking if I try to pull off what you're doing here in downtown LA, I'll be swamped because I know people downtown LA is like a Monday through Friday lunch dinner time, 10 to 2, and then 5 to 9. Those are the surges, and everything else in between will be very slow. But
Oh, sure.
those hours swamped. It'll be very difficult to achieve. San Francisco, it's a little bit of both, but it's very there's a community out there and very tech savvy people there, so they actually might be more interested in this than LA because they would actually like to have someone that they know that they can bring the food. And LA and San Francisco is actually very small. It's 7 by 7 miles. Your area is what the area that you cover is like 2.5 miles, I believe.
Yeah, it's pretty small. I mean, but so when I was, it's extremely small. I actually, it's kind of interesting because there was, I had I knew some people in Los Angeles. Shout out Charius, my boy, in
Cheers.
downtown, downtown Los Angeles that we used to work over there, and essentially Charius and Angels whole kind of plan was is like they're gonna wait on the orders and they were gonna like speed them up as fast as possible. They'd get to like circa in like a minute, to not a minute but like 3 minutes. That's how fast they were.
Yeah.
Here's kind of an interesting kind of thought here is I'm already even if the Seattle ordinance comes back, they repeal all of it. If you order for $30, so let's say it's $30, right? Total for the meal. And it's two things. So it's so like a $10 thing and then another $10 thing and then like a side of guacamole or something. So at Chipotle, that is like a 15% increase. So I'm saving
Mhm.
them just on that $5 minimum, right?
Okay.
Not even including the delivery fee, not even including the tip. Even without the ordinance, I'm saving them double, right? I'm saving them double. So, in terms of market demand, if we're talking about price, I'm saving them that much. That's one. Two, the other thing is like, um, the question is yeah, you would be swamped, but here's the other thing, because your area, you can deny people, right? And the thing is like
Mm.
because I'm representing this as an idea of like your homie's doing it, which is your homie can sometimes do it and sometimes he can't do it, right? There's an
Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. Yeah.
right,
Is he
exactly. Like
busy?
it's not the same. It's not. There's no way it would be the same, and I'm not saying it can be the same. I don't want it to be the same because
Got it.
I got it. Sometimes I'm denying you, right? Sometimes I'm
Right.
saying I can't make that. I can't make that fulfillment. I wish you. I hope you have a great day. Good luck to you. Blah 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 blah. But they have that option, and so here's the interesting thing: is you mentioned just now everything gets bought out. All that competition goes away. It becomes closer and closer to a monopoly. I'm saying induce have more market competition. What's wrong with little competition? Competition is good. It's great.
Yep.
It's amazing.
I
People love
agree.
competition.
I
A
agree.
little friendly competition is not bad. Friendly competition is good. It's good for the market. It's good for the people. People like competition. They think it's interesting. They think it's fun. And all I'm saying I'm hyper focused on that aspect of the empathy economy. But that again, that might not be Wilcer. Wilcer might be I'm hella fast. And if you're hella fast, then that's your thing, right? Like my thing is not
Yeah.
I am fast. I'm not as fast as you. I nor do I want to
Well,
be.
what do you ride? What do you ride? You ride a bike though, right?
I just bought this the
E-bike.
Rev 1 wide ride one. It goes about 30. So
So it's an e-bike.
yeah.
Okay, okay. We should have said that in the beginning, but okay, e-bike. Yeah, I used to ride e-bike. I rode bicycle, then e-bike, and now scooter. Scooter makes sense because of where I'm at, LA. LA is big, it's massive,
Very
you
vast,
know.
yeah.
But you have a concentrated area, and do you have hills where you're at, or is it like flat?
It's flat. I mean,
Mostly flat. E-bike is perfect then. Like
Yeah.
New York, the is it geographic, the way that the area is. New York is also very compact and flat, mainly flat. So e-bike's perfect. You know, if you had hills like San Francisco, e-bike is not ideal
It's not
because
gonna work.
one hill will drain one third of your battery. You do
Yeah,
three
yeah.
of those, your battery's done. So e-bike doesn't make sense. So I guess it depends on your market what to choose. So and not necessarily that I'm faster. I am hella efficient because I've done this thing thousands of times, literally. And I have my own system. I have my own backpack. I create my own kits, my dividers, and like all the food is like always delivered perfectly. Which I wanted to bring up to you. I want to hook you up with a bag, but we'll talk about that
Oh, let's
later.
go. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I got you, because
There we go.
it's like, you know, you can carry a very variety of drinks and all that, but we'll get to that. But so depending on the market, this doesn't always matter how fast you are. I tell people too, hey, how fast is your scooter? Because you're faster now, can you make more money? Look, man, it's not really about speed; it's about efficiency. Because you can get to one place from one point A to B really fast, but if you're like taking the whole minute to lock up your stuff, and it takes you like another minute to take your things off of your bike or scooter or whatever, and then it takes you another minute to find out what door it is, and then you have to call the customer. Like all that takes time. By the time you finish all that, it took me a little longer, but I was efficient. I got on and off the bike. I got the food packed up real quick. So the key thing here is not being faster; it's being about more efficient. If you're more, because you don't even want to be fast in this food delivery business. If you're fast, you're gonna get in accidents. You want to be efficient. You want to be able to ride, know your streets, and just be able to how to get around quickly, not fast, not efficiently, and able how to take the quickest route, not necessarily the fastest way to get there. Anyway, that's your so you have don't worry about speed. I guess I try to prove the point that you don't have to be fast in this. I made a lot of money before on the Honda Ruckus that only does like 32 miles an hour, 33 miles an hour. Like it's not even that fast. You can go as fast as me on the e-bike. We'll be next to each other.
On the
A
Honda Ruckus.
scooter and an e-bike. Those Ruckuses are not that fast, man. But anyway,
They're
efficiency.
reliable though. Reliable.
That for sure. Those Ruckuses are workhorses for sure. Hey, I want to ask you. So how was your experience delivering here in Los Angeles? I'm curious about that. And then why did you move to Seattle? I know a lot of
Um.
people from
Okay,
California.
so my experience in LA was kind of interesting. I was the only I was probably the only person that like I tested. I wanted to see how far you needed to go. I was like I'm a big proponent of like if they send you an order to like Koreatown from downtown Los Angeles and it's rush hour, take it because the thing
Yeah.
is that Prop 22, um, you know, like my whole goal was like to stay as close to the active time as possible and leverage those $3 orders.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
when you get good tips, it will just be fine.
It's
And
an
I did
extra.
pretty well.
It's
I
on
made
top of it. It's on top of it, right? It's
yeah,
on
yeah,
top of what you're already making.
exactly. So my thought is like I also used the Metro bike. Uh, I would rent the Metro.
Metro. Oh, right, right. The ones you rent from the Metro transportation company. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You can.
It was $17 a month. So you got to park them in 30 minutes. So I was hustling to park them in 30 minutes and recheck them out.
Right, I remember that. Yeah, you park them as long as they're between the 30 minutes. Like you're not paying anything extra, right? Just a
Exactly.
17 a month. Did you get
Exactly.
e-bikes with that too? Because I know they had e-bikes as
Yeah, I
well.
did. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right.
It
That's
was the
pretty good.
e-bike that I was using. Um, and so, I would take orders from like downtown LA to like, what's that lake over there? What's that man-made lake in LA?
There's the reservoir. There's Echo Park. There's MacArthur Park.
All of them. All of them. Anywhere, all over there. I mean, I've taken it everywhere. I mean,
Okay.
I took an order from downtown Los Angeles to Baldwin Hills, San Pedro. I was testing at everything. I wanted to see because I wanted
Damn.
to know. I really wanted to know.
That's like 10 miles from
Yeah,
downtown
yeah,
LA. That's
yeah, yeah,
far, bro.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing is like they'll throw you orders back, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's what you hope for. That's like the strategy is like you accept something that's far away, but you accept it somewhere where it's kind of busy in that area, so that you slingshot back. You know, you kind of boomerang back with money and not just empty handed.
Oh, of course,
So
yeah. That's the entire
that's
strategy.
the strategy.
Uh, and I also delivered. I lived in LA for a year, and then I moved to San Francisco and delivered there. And the Lyft had this, or it's called Bay Wheels. They had this loophole where, like, if there was an electric bike, you could unpark. If there was only an electric bike at the station, you get it for free. So I was, I paid like $30 a month and had like a free e-bike most of the time while delivering. So I was able to get up all those hills that you're talking about relatively easily because I had
Mm.
unlimited power based on that. Obviously, wouldn't work for anybody at scale, but yeah, my experience in downtown Los Angeles was interesting. It was, I think, the months that I started were really challenging, mostly because I'm not sure if it's tax season or they had changed the app to from bike to e-bike, and then they eliminated that. But it was challenging at first, and then
Mm.
towards the end, I was working like 70 hours a week. I was making, or not 70, I was working like 55, 60 hours a week on that electric e-bike, making somewhere between, 14 to $1,700, which was good. It was good money, but I think that
Per week, per month,
yeah, for per week, and
per
then
week. Okay, that's good.
yeah, so
That's
then
really good.
but not for an extended period of time. I eventually left LA and then moved to San Francisco. So I tested it out for like 6 weeks where I was making that much money, and then I like almost similar how you were talking about, like you take breaks, and like I was taking breaks too. I was just like, I don't want, like it became boring. But the kind of the interesting thing is it's like, you know people will often talk about those $3 orders from Chick-fil-A, right? And they'll be like, man, I ain't accepting a $3 order from Chick-fil-A. And I was like, well, not always. I'm not going to always accept them, but if it is kind of slow, yeah, I'm going to accept it, because if the minimum wage is $17 an hour in Los Angeles, and they're going to pay you 120% of the minimum wage, which is $20 an hour, that means that if that order takes you 15 minutes, that order was $5. That's what that means, right? So in
Yeah.
my estimation, it's not $3, it's $5. And if I get a double on it, which is even better, and it's two $3 orders, and it ends up taking me, 15, or it ends up taking me 30 minutes, that means I made a guaranteed $10. And when it's slow, that's great. When it's not slow, whatever. Because the other thing is tips are varied, right? You're going to get a $50 tip, you're going to get a $10 tip, you're going to get random tips. But the whole premise is about, if you wanted to make as much stable cash as possible, the idea is like you leverage that system that they're doing, and no one leverages it because they have that idea of choice. And the way that they set it up is that there is no choice. You really should, at a certain particular time, you know, even if you're working the slow hours and they send you a 7-Eleven order, you really should take that 7-Eleven order, right? Like you really should. It might be only $5, but it's going to take, 10 minutes to get that cup filled because the 7-Eleven's busy at 3 o'clock because there's like Comic Con down in downtown Los Angeles. Just take it. Like that's not your responsibility as a delivery person to figure out the logistics for the apps. It's their responsibility to figure out the logistics, and you're the only thing that you're doing is you're just delivering the food. So if it takes 10 minutes, if it is slow, if there is a long wait time, it's whatever. Like that's not on you. That's on them. So like, because the idea is that if everyone's canceling, that's a bad strategy. If you're gonna cancel all your orders, that's just like everybody's doing that. So that means no one, like, everybody's hoping for the same thing. That's varied. That's why I hear people say sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Um, and my whole thought was like, well, how can I make it more consistent? And so that was like a big strategy that I used there when I was there. It worked. It was pretty good.
That strategy that you're mentioning, I didn't used to do that because, you know, when there's times where business is very busy, sometimes it gets slow, but not slow enough where there's still orders coming in, so you can still cherry pick, right? That's kind of why I didn't used to take small orders. I knew there was Prop 22, but even with Prop 22, the hourly that I was making was way above the Prop 22. So Prop 22 never even like crossed my mind. It was just something, a bonus that I would get at every 2 weeks or every week. But when it started getting slower, which has been lately, people were kind of spending the free money. Remember the pandemic, people were getting checks. People that had a lot of money stacked up, and even when the money stopped, people still had like money. There's people spend differently when it's free money, but when it starts becoming their own money and they have to go back to work, then this whole thing changed where people started ordering less. They started tipping less. People being more tight with their money. Then it was more like, oh snap, I have to take these small orders because if I don't take anything, I'm not gonna make no money. I'm literally gonna be like those guys that just camp in the corner, socializing, just hanging out. You see them
Mhm.
there all day. I'm like, are you guys making any money? So I just started doing that. I started kind of taking those orders and just thinking of, you know what? I started doing the math like Prop 22, kind of like what you were just mentioning. It's better making that than than nothing at all, and it's worked. It's actually, been better than not making anything. But hey, I wanted to ask you, how does it work? Well, so let's say I want to order food from you, like, and I'm in Seattle. That's where you're at, right? Seattle.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So if I wanted to like get some, I don't know, some Chinese food. I did go on your website, so basically, I have to order the food. Just go on there, order on their website, or call and order, place the payment, and then hit you up, right?
So what you'll do is you'll text me to say, um, so let's say you want what is it? What is that? That let's say you want McDonald's. Let's just use McDonald's because I'm right next to McDonald's.
McDonald's
Let's
is
say
the easier one. Yeah.
yes. So let's say you want McDonald's, and you're like, "Are you free to deliver? Are you busy? Are you?" You just
Yeah.
ask me that question, and I say yes, no. Like, and you also list the restaurant. So you'll say like, "Are you busy?" And the McDonald's. I don't like once you order once. Like I got you locked in. Like I know your address. I know where you live. I know what
I
door it is
remember.
that you want. Yeah, yeah. Well, I also have it locked into my phone too. So like for instance, like I know someone I delivered to 2224 Pontus Ave today, and they were like, I was like, "Are you home?" And they were like, "Yes." And I was like, "Okay, like that's the address." And like, or delivered to like 130 Bourne Avenue. I know exactly where that is and stuff. And so essentially, all you're doing is you're just asking me, "Hey, are you? Can you do this for me?" And if I say yes, then like you send it, and then within 15 minutes your order's there. But if I'm busy, I'll say like I'll give you a wait time. I'll be like, I can do it in 20. So then you're like, okay, like I'll order my food in 20. So then you order your food in 20, and then 10 minutes go by, and then I deliver your food in that 10-minute span. So it also keeps like a freshness going of that food because you were talking about bacteria and waiting. And kind of the hard thing is like
Hmm.
there's like random wait times at lunch or in dinner, right? Like, because of that surge, like that demand that it's kind of like the electricity. I've dubbed it the electricity problem, which is like everybody turns on their lights at the same time, right? Everybody turns on their lights at 6 o'clock because it's dark, right? Like at 6 o'clock,
Right.
everybody gets home from work and they go, oh, okay, it's time to turn the lights on. And there's this, it's the same thing. It's the same challenge for electricity companies. Um, the way that you mitigate it though is different. There's different ways to mitigate it, and kind of the interesting thing is I'm seeing people use different strategies while they're delivering through me. So some people they order, they're like, "Hey Tony, can you drop off something at 12 o'clock at this Amazon building for me?" And I say yes. So then they're sliding time like that. The other thing is like I'm also finding that
Mhm.
people sometimes are like, if I can't do it, they'll just walk over and get it, or they'll take the time to do it. But they'll do it. They want me to do it. Uh, like they'll be like, "Can you do this?" And then they'll run it through. Um, and so I'm giving them options to the other thing, which is why I was kind of indicating before. There's like this idea of like um, healthy competition in the idea of that marketplace. So because I'm your homie, and the idea is like your homie can and cannot sometimes do it, but you also feel like when your homie says no, you're not upset about it because you understand your homie's doing something,
Right.
uh or your friend, and the idea is like if I can then kind of frame it differently and help people understand, because I also am kind of curious of like how people, the psychology of like who's ordering, why they're ordering, what they're ordering, how their day is and stuff. I am genuinely curious about those things. Some people aren't. Some people, they think it's like a way to like scheme inside the market, which I think is disingenuous. But uh, I
Yeah.
I I think it's an interesting thought process because essentially the biggest challenge is retention. That is the biggest thing is retention. Loyalty and
Mhm.
retention are the biggest thing, which is why you've seen a ton of companies get swallowed up because they have no retention, they have no loyalty. And I'm pretty sure that if 100 people have decided to go through me, probably 80 of them are going to come back. I received a text message. Someone ordered on
That's
February
really
7th.
good. That's really good.
February 7th, they ordered. Today, they hit me and they ordered again. Today. Today.
Okay.
This happened today. I, and
Okay.
so that's great to me. That just doesn't. It also indicates like, oh, like I have you locked in. I have you
Yeah.
saved my
You have your
phone.
regulars. I would, if I was in your shoes, I would definitely try to lock in the regulars because they have a routine, and you can almost like already like know what they want. You can already have their menu saved, or or you can already kind of know, predict. Like that would be the ones you like to hold on to, right? The ones that are regulars.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think. Yeah, I already have like regulars already. People that have ordered
Sick. Sick.
like 10 or 20 times already, which I think is really interesting. But the main kind of answer here that I think is interesting is like, you know, the connective piece that you were talking about, we talked about earlier, is like being connective and having that sense of community. And then the next thing after that also is like, well, like how do you like what does it look like? Imagine it's not Tony, but it's like Wilcer, Tony, it's Charius, it's Lawrence, it's Gus, like and it's not under Tony. It's like I
Yeah,
I'll
there'll
like
be like
I'll,
an umbrella, right? There'll be an umbrella that links everyone, all those individuals together under one
right.
team.
Right. And there's one person that like does the vetting, right? Like make sure it's like all good and gives like this idea, but it's not like I'm out here like I'm not going to charge you like $1 million. It's just like, it's just like, all right, you want to be a part of this? It's just like we're going to charge, you know, just like a very very minuscule amount, very minuscule to be a part of this service. So then all of a sudden then you're working through it and you know that if you have my blessing that I've done the hard work and vetted everybody, right?
Mm.
And that I vetted everybody because my not only is your reputation on the line, my reputation with the people are on the line. So I'm going to put way more effort into it than somebody else because it's this idea of like I've earned this trust, I've earned the ability to have the blessing of the community, and I'm going to try my best to hold on to that because like once that trust is lost, then it's just like whatever. Like, Tony delivers or Tony Isles, he's out here just trying to make a bag, and it's like no, 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 no. We have to have the best people to do this, and then that will also solve that kind of like you're talking about like or not you, but that oversaturation problem, right? So then that number is that you're making is also much more sustainable and livable, and it's also like people are more willing to do it. And I almost wonder if like so that kind of the question that I have for Wilcer is, this is something you think about. You can answer not today in this podcast, but later. Is what would it look like if you were the guy for 1201 Circa, right? Like you're the guy. What would it look like? How much? What financially would that incentive? Do you actually want to be that? Maybe not. Maybe you do. But what would it look like for you? How does that look like? How does it look like for Circa to give you you know you know the blessing to be the building's guy that does the delivery of that food or the groceries or both or whatever, right? What does it look like? And I think the answer is it looks like probably as much money as you're already making, right? So that's the financial component. The next thing is it's probably a much better feeling on your part and the person that's ordering part because you get familiar with them. You're like,
Yeah,
yo, this,
if there's a connection there, for sure. That makes it better than large amounts of money. It's just the connection with people, I think, is very valuable.
yeah, yeah.
But
So then you're moving into a completely different space, and it's
mm,
better. Everybody likes it. The thing that is not being mentioned here is like you remember Amazon, like when everybody was trying to do Amazon FBA, that was like a huge thing on TikTok and Instagram. Kind of the interesting thing here is what ended up happening to those small businesses, those mom and pop stores, so to speak, is those people are extremely personable because it was their identity and themselves attached to those companies and those businesses. And so now we have this like broad net of like, well, I can just get like, a cell phone case from Amazon. I can get anything on Amazon, anything and everything on Amazon from A to Z, like their logo says. Um, and so my thought is like, okay, like how can we begin to personalize something that people want? People want people don't know that they need the interaction, but they do. They need the interaction, and it serves as like this next thing where like they don't like to be inconvenienced too much, but they have a tolerance for it on some level. But they also want a person, and you can tell that they want a person because of they like content, right? They like content creators. They're supporting a person that's doing content. And so what my thought process is how is this any different than content? It's not. I think it's the same. It's the same kind of thought where you're kind of putting your own personalized spin on something that adds value to people's lives, which is the only thing that business really should do. Is business should always add value. And I think that the question is like, if the experience is bad or not great, does that add value? And the answer is no. It adds negative value, and that's what you want. You want to add positive value to someone's life, and maybe that means like you're the person that delivers a pizza, and you have a magic show while you're doing it. Right? Great. Boom. $40. Whatever. But it's interesting. It's different. Maybe you do a backflip because you can do backflips, and then you deliver a pizza, and people love that. They're like, "Whoa, it's the backflip guy," and then like you make a ton of money because there's interest in that. Or maybe you're like like super like maybe you're a woman, and you know like you want to deliver just to women because they understand there's maybe some fear that's attached to that, right? Of another person doing it, and it's more expensive, and so you do that, right? Maybe it's that. Maybe that's what it is. And I think that's kind of the interesting thing is like I have my own personal desire of like being connective, um and creating like a connective environment to food delivery. But I also understand that people have different needs and they have different wants, and so why not allow them to have that ability to express, to not just offer food delivery. What It's not just food delivery, which is I delivered flowers to somebody and sang a song. I mean, who's singing songs at you know what I mean? Like I can serenade,
Damn.
you know what I mean?
Tony
Like so
sings. Tony sings. Tony
hey,
delivers. Tony sings. That's sick.
so it's like I delivered those flowers, and it was like she had known me through the food delivery, and she's like, my boyfriend will love this, blah blah blah, and she had missed her boyfriend, and so it's like more personable. It's not as cold as like just having a flower person deliver like here's your flowers. Like I know this person, and we spoke extensively. So it's like it adds value in that sense where it makes that person feel like it's an authentic thing, and it's something that I personally want to do. Like seeing this guy kind of be like, oh my god, my girlfriend got me flowers. It's a great experience, right? Like you can see the love and the care, and like that's what it should be. But it's like like you like being there's a level of efficiency that is too far. I think personally that dehumanizes us. And so move it back just a little bit. So just make it you want it to be
Mm,
efficient, but you don't want it to be dehumanizing, right? You want these
mm,
experiences to be valuable. You want them to be good. Like if someone turns their feet to me and they want to talk, I'm gonna talk to them for at least a minute. I'm gonna give them that time. Now, granted, is there somebody ordering my bag? Yeah, but like I'm also plotting that into like okay, like I got a minute. Like I got I can give them some time. I can't give them a 10 minutes, but I can give them a couple minutes, right? Like, and
yeah,
that's
it makes
why.
sense.
And so then it creates this compounding effect where it's like even I'm already making the same as I was before, but the upside is much higher and like more livable, and it's better. I feel better about it, and it's cooler. And now I'm doing the Wilcer podcast, like
Mm,
Los Angeles, like it's good. Like this is great. This is amazing. Like this is what a great opportunity is, and I feel very blessed to be able to even to talk to anybody. I was watching like dude, like I was watching your videos in LA, like trying to get tips and tricks. So it's great to be able to even have this ability to even speak to you. It's an honor. It's a privilege. You know what I mean? So it's like
appreciate that. Yeah, well, it's cool to speak to you too, man. Like I like that you're doing this, and this idea with having more of like this would literally I would do this basically only for the community. Like that's already huge because that's something I miss about work. Like I was telling you about earlier, this will bridge that gap because you will have that connection with all your clients. Like there will have to be an act. You have to, in the way the system is that you built, you have to talk to all of them, a text, a call, or whatever. So there is that little brief exchange of words. It's not just going to be like here you go, thank you very much, all right, bye. It's gonna be like, hey, thanks, man. Like, yeah, I've been trying. We wanted to try this food out. Have you ever had it? Just a quick conversation, and I think that's very cool. Also gives you an opportunity to network with people, and the fact that you're doing this for them, like their own personal, homie to pick up food, it also could open up some windows. It could open up some doors, some windows and doors. But I think that's super cool. It's interesting. Right now, I am in the whole fast pace, trying to make as much money as possible, so I could work on other stuff. But man, it does get a little lonely out there. Just just it's just you, and because I work in such a high, fast pace. I don't even have time to talk to someone that I know. I'm like, hey, I try to avoid them sometimes. I'm like, oh, I know if I talk to this person, it's gonna take me like a minute. I'm like, down to the second on some of these deliveries, like literally down to seconds before I get a contract violation. So it's cutthroat, and this will be something that will be like I'll basically have to slow it down. I'll have to move out of LA to do this because LA is just super extremely high paced, and if I move to Hawaii, it'll be something like this will be very it'll make sense for the environment. It will make sense for the demographic. It will make sense for everyone there because everyone's just there to relax, take a vacation, chill, enjoy the scenery, and they don't want, you'll be able to have a conversation with those people, super dope. Hey, look, man, we got an hour in. I did want to hook you up with a bag, bro.
Oh
But I want
man.
to, yeah, yeah. So
Right.
as you know, I don't know if you know this, but I do create cup holders, dividers. I create these little things for backpacks that helps you like organize your food and stack it up in a way where it's not like moving around and your drinks aren't spilling. Um, I got backpacks that hold 12 drinks, and it has like 16 by 18s. It's pretty big, but it depends on you. You're on an e-bike, right? Do you carry your stuff on your backpack, like on your back,
We
or
have
do you
like
put it on the rack?
a little compartment right now. Um,
I
on
saw
it.
one that you had. It says Tony Delivers. I saw one that you pulled up. It's like
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of like how
yeah,
it
yeah,
looks like. It looks like it's like maybe 13, 14 inches wide.
yeah.
Like,
That's exactly what it is.
yeah.
uh,
Damn, I do this, bro. I do this. I sold thousands of these backpacks, so I can look at the backpack and kind of guess the dimensions of it.
yeah,
Uh,
I
how do
saw
you
your
how do you?
offer
Mhm.
up. That's I saw. I think you sold like at least 100 minimum.
Yeah, that's the offer up. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's because I don't necessarily close the sale. I like because I have a bunch of one backpack, so whenever someone buys it, like I just keep it open. I don't. You know how you when you sell something, you're like, oh, I already sold it to this person, but I just have one post. So I don't know if that's accurate, but whatever. Then I have a website, crankhustle.com. I sell it on that. And then, to friends in the street that I also sell it. But I have a few. I think the one that would be perfect for you is I have the VSET 65. It's 16 by 12 by 18 inches high. It's pretty big. But you could store, 12 drinks in there comfortably. You could put, stuff on one side, stuff on one side. That one you can wear. It's pretty big. But I got smaller ones too. Maybe once after the podcast is over, we can, I can ask you a little bit more questions of which ones you like. I'll hook you up, man. And then with the compartments and all that. And it's an all black one too. I know you have 20 delivered. You can put like it's got a lot of space, so you can like,
Put that
put
sticker on. The
yeah, put that. I'll put the crank hustle sticker in the bottom corner. Got to brand it,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it has a lot of space. Um, but maybe we could do this again, bro, because there's still a lot of things I want to talk to you about outside of the 20 delivers. There's also like other things like like situations you've been in, and how Seattle is. I'm curious how Seattle is because I eventually I want to travel and do this like in different places all around, the country first, and then hopefully later around the world. That'd be kind of cool. Just do this.
Everywhere.
When I Yeah, but when we do that, I won't be able to use apps. I will literally have to kind of go with your system if I go outside of the US, although Uber Eats is kind of worldwide. But anyway, that's a whole other combo.
You'd be on
Um,
tour.
for real,
You'd be
delivery.
like Drake.
Most people around the world use scooters. It's just here in Los Angeles where it's very car culture. Everywhere you go, it's like everyone rides two wheels, bikes,
Yeah.
e-bikes. It's crazy. But yeah, man. I'm gonna wrap this up, bro, because I know you gotta get back on the grind, as well, right? You start again at what, 4:30, 5:30? What time do you start?
I start getting orders probably like 4:30.
4:30. Okay, that's like at 40 minutes. For some reason, I thought you were like on the East Coast. I like outside of San Francisco, LA, New York, Miami, and then all the other cities. I'm like I don't even know where they're at in the map. Like I gotta like Google it and take a look. But you're like up north.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Same time
You
zone. Same
okay?
time
Yeah,
zone.
you went from LA to San Francisco, then to Seattle. You're gonna end up in Canada somewhere, bro. You're gonna end up in
Oh yeah,
in Alaska if you keep going north, bro.
I'm gonna see
But
the polar bear deliveries.
for real, man. Damn, how are you gonna
I
do
ordered
that?
your food and fought a polar bear at the same time.
The Coca-Cola bear.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So, is there anything you want to say before we wrap it up for this podcast?
Do you? I guess my question is do you see in the next? Do you see a potential of like flipping LA on its head and being kind of like that app based economy into being like a localized economy within like 6 to 12 months?
Well, look, I go really hard on these apps, and I push the envelope. I always try to push to see like how much money I can make. I try to break my records every month, and I feel like if I take it overboard, and these apps are like, you know what, you did something, the terms and conditions, and they both give me the boot. I feel like those apps will be making a big mistake, and I will go so hard on the building the whole. Because then I have nothing to. Then I'll like just fully focus on it because I'll have all the experience. Like I'll have literally like I'm almost at 18,000 deliveries at this point,
A lot.
and so with that experience and clashing in with other minds or coming together, and then there's a community aspect of it. Like for sure, for sure at that point I'll definitely love to do it because yeah, that's definitely one thing that's missing. There's one piece of that community is missing here with this independent contract, which is why I organize events and meetups. And I have a scooter trip coming up in a couple of weeks. We're gonna get together with scooters right all the way to the desert. Like all this, I'm organizing just because we don't get that. We don't have the coworker hangouts on weekends. We don't have those, you know, um, corporate parties. None of that. So
You need
will
it
I
though.
do that? Will I do that? That I think if those two things happen, then if the apps like give me the boot, which I'm telling you, I push it to the limit where it's like anything can happen. So, but I'm telling you that the whole community part and just being able to connect with people, like your customers on a whole nother level, yeah, that definitely really catches my interest. And I want to ask you more about your business too, like later, you know, but yeah, that's my answer.
Awesome. I appreciate that. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, man, we'll get together again, bro, and maybe a week from now. Maybe same time because this is a time that I like Tuesdays and around this time because Tuesdays are the slowest, and then around between 2 and 3 is like the best time to kind of take a break and you take advantage of that time. So if you're down, maybe we could do this again next week or sometime in the future.
Yeah, yeah. We could schedule it in next Tuesday. I don't have anything planned yet, so I'll give you that credence, that
Uh,
availability.
Hell yeah, dope, man. But either way, I'm gonna hit you up. Either way, I'm gonna give you a call right now to see like what bags, like what size, and or maybe we run out of time. I could do it later, but but anyways, guys, hey, for everybody listening or watching this, thanks for watching. This is Tony Delivers, and this is one of the first podcasts for a full-time side hustle, which it's like the first one, so it's not gonna be perfect. We're gonna work on it, but what Tony's doing is basically what represents what the podcast is gonna be about. It's called a full-time side hustle because it all starts with a side hustle. We all start with doing something on the side, and eventually we make it our full-time thing. That's the goal. The goal is to get something that you do on the side, because usually people side hustles what they love to do, and you may create where you can do that full-time and make a living out of it. So that conversation, that's why I was like, I got to get Tony on because he's perfect for what the podcast represents, and then we're gonna have fun along the way, and just kind of branch off and have conversations around that. But Tony, thanks for joining and hanging out for a bit. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
I
All
appreciate.
right, Tony, I'll call you right now.
All right, take care.
All right, peace, man. Oh shit, we're still on. Okay, cool. Wait,
Uh,
end recording.